Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today's going to be a video unlike any other that I've done before. There are two reasons for that. First of all, there is this. This is a KE Spitfire, specifically the Mark 9 version of the Spitfire. And the other thing is something called the Mandela Effect. Now, I'm sure some of you know what the Mandela Effect is, and I'm sure there's even more of you know what the Mandela Effect is without actually knowing its name. And basically, the Mandela Effect is the collective misremembering of events, places, people, things. So the obvious couple of examples of that would be that the Monopoly man, the game, icon, has a monocle, but he doesn't. Mickey Mouse wears braces, or suspenders as the Americans call them, to hold his shorts up, but he doesn't. But a lot of people think that these things are true. So there is the question then of what has that got to do with this particular Spitfire. Well, I'll get into that in a bit more depth in the review, because I'm really not sure how to review this. But I'll explain in more depth when we've gone through the usual process. So we'll do a speed build, we'll do some pics, and then we'll get into the review. Let's crack on and build. Welcome back. Right, now, for anybody who wasn't sure what the Mandela Effect was, I would suggest that you stop this video, Google the Mandela Effect. Lots of things will come up, 12 things, the Mandela Effect, or 50 things, and go and have a little quick look. You'll be surprised on what you actually have misremembered. Now, before I start this review proper, there is a procedure that I follow when I do these reviews, and one of those things is that I tend not to do the review immediately after building. I have done it a couple of times and it's been a bit of a disaster, and it makes me have to go back and redo it, which just makes me do more work, and I'm quite lazy, so I would much prefer to do it first time and do it right. So what I tend to do is I build the model, I tend to sleep on it overnight, and then I come back and I do the review and the pictures and all that sort of thing. So I finished this yesterday, and I had time today to do the review, so I didn't do the review last night. But what I did was I thought I'd get ahead of myself, and I would get all the details and pictures that I need for this video. I'd get them all set up, and the thumbnail and everything else all done, so I can just get the review, get it onto the PC, bang, knock the video out, get ahead of myself, be organised for a change. And the review was going to go something along these lines. it's a basic kit. It's actually really well designed to be built. It's a very easy thing to build, but it's not a Spitfire. It's I don't really quite know what it looks like. If to my mind on the side it sort of vaguely looks a bit like a US Kitty Hawk, but yeah, whatever it's supposed to be, it's not a Spitfire. And while the build and the materials and everything else was good, nothing was missing, etc, etc, and I like what they've done with the stickers, pretty much don't buy it. There are far better examples out there for similar sort of money. So that was going to be the review. But in the process of finding pics and facts about the Spitfire to put in, I came up with this picture. Yeah, now that's not the shape of a Spitfire that we normally know. This is a picture of a Spitfire that we normally. So you can see the difference. Now, first, one of the things I did looking at this was I tried to break it down and think, well, you know, it doesn't look like a Spitfire. Why doesn't it look like a Spitfire? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, on this, the pilot is actually sitting just behind the rear wing. But on this picture, you'll see that there's a line of rivets that go down the side of the cockpit that follow through to the back of the wing. If I just highlight them here, you'll see that, oh, actually the pilot is sitting behind the wing. Now, another thing I thought of was that with the Spitfire, the fuselage doesn't come up anywhere near that sort of height. It doesn't come up to basically the top of the pilot's head. It's far more of a bubble canopy. And then I looked at the picture and I realised that actually the fuselage does come up to the top of the pilot's head, and the bubble part of the canopy is far further forward. So I thought to myself, well, there's very obviously the wings. Now the wings are quite a famous part of the Spitfire. They're semi-elliptical and they will either have a rounded or occasionally a flat end. They do not have a point on them. And then this picture shows very clearly that these wings have a point on them. So I thought to myself, well, actually, this is very, very close to that particular picture. So how do I review this? Because am I so ingrained in my memory of what a Spitfire should look like that I'm denying that this looks like a Spitfire, even though in comparison to this particular picture it very clearly ticks the boxes. Yes, I know the exhausts on the engine are different, but I'm prepared to ignore that because it was the shape of this thing that I thought was not a Spitfire. Yet we've just had three really quite big indications that this model agrees with the picture of a real Spitfire, that this is a Spitfire. So I don't know how to review this, because I still maintain that this is not like a Spitfire, even though my eyes are also showing me on these pictures that it is. It's a tricky one, this. Now this was 1246, so it's at the sort of upper end of the pocket money range. I would say that this is a really good model for kids to do, or for people who have some sort of hand issue or finger issue, because it is very simple and easy to make and very well thought out in that respect. But I would also be saying there are far better models of a Spitfire out there. The Guangzhou Spitfire, which was originally supposed to go in this video, I was going to do a comparison video between the two, but because of what's happening with this one, I would have ended up with a far too long a video to warrant it, and the Jiquan would have got lost in there, so I'm going to do it as a completely separate video. So yes, the Jiquan one is slightly more expensive, but yes, I would recommend that every day of the week. I wouldn't recommend this, and yet it does look like Spitfire in the picture. Now the only thing I can say is that this clearly says that this is a Mark 9 Spitfire, whereas the one in the picture is a Mark 7 Spitfire. So there are plenty of Mark 9s, and this doesn't look like a Mark 9. So if they had said perhaps that this is a Mark 7 Spitfire, I could be a bit more positive about it. But I have to say, it's actually got me really questioning now how I look at things. And am I looking at them properly, or am I looking at them through some rose-coloured memory haze in how I review these things? So I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Does this look like a Spitfire to you? Would you buy this and be happy to say it's a Spitfire? Or would you prefer to buy something else that has the rounded wingtips, that has the more elliptical sort of wing with the straight edge going across most here? Would you prefer something that has more of a bubble canopy on it, where the pilot sits forward of the back of the wing? Or would you be happy with this? I'm really curious to know. As I say, to my eye, even though I'm looking at proof that this is a Spitfire, my brain is so ingrained and trained with knowing what a Spitfire is and the shape of a Spitfire that I cannot get my head around this. So how strong is this Mandela Effect? Is it warping my perspective on reality? I'd be really interested to know what you guys have to say in the comments about this, because I'm at a bit of a loss. But as I said, this is a totally different video from what I would normally do. Hopefully you've liked it. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again. You take care. Bye bye.